Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Uh, Welcome to this workshop on reference formatting with Zotero. My name is Jawad Hashim. I'm associate professor in the Department of Family Medicine at UAE University and at the College of Medicine. And it's my pleasure to be with you guys. I always enjoy talking with our graduate students. And I hope some of you had the chance to attend my previous workshops as well. So just a little bit about myself. I'm originally from Pakistan, and I did my medical college there and then went to the States for postgraduate training, and then stayed there for many years, and then joined UAE University a few years ago. I've had the pleasure of doing several workshops on Zotero. So I've been using Zotero for about last, I would say 10 years, and I've done more than 10 workshops on Zotero. So Zotero is something that I really like using, and it is something that I think is very much a tool for researchers. So in one way, you can say what is something that differentiates an academic from other professionals. I would say it is Zotero. It is the reference formatting software. So you have a lot of tools for research. I think right at number one will be Zotero. It is something that is essential, something that I use almost on a daily basis. I've used other tools, including Endnote, and I find Zotero to be far superior, easier to use, and it's something that works offline, doesn't require an internet connection, and it stores all your files on your computer. So these are our learning objectives for today. I just want to say that I don't have any conflicts of interest. I'm not benefiting financially from Zotero. Zotero is developed at a university, and it is a non-profit software. This is the outline for my presentation. So I've divided it into 4 parts. First part being key terms, and then we'll do some Zotero basics, and then some bonus material on academic writing. So I think writing is one of the critical skills in research, and something that I find students struggle with in writing good academic English. And then finally, in part 4, we'll do some advanced features of Zotero. So some key terms. If you look at this article, which I wrote recently and published on COVID, you have citations in the text of the article. These are references to your research articles that you're citing. And then at the end of your article or your thesis is your list of references. So this is called, in technical terms, the bibliography. So in the text are citations, and at the end of the articles are the list of references, which is called bibliography. And in the bibliography, you have a list of articles, and the important thing is the formatting. So you have the author, the year, the title, the journal name, volume, issue number, and pages number, as well as now the digital object identifier address. So everything has to be in the right place. The punctuation has to be perfect. The full stops, commas, semicolons. The journal name might be italics. It might be bold. And there are different journals who have different styles. So everything has to match that. In terms of citations, the citations in the text can be positioned before or after the full stop. And that is important to remember. If you're generally, most of the time, if you're writing in the author date format, then most of the time the citation is before the period. If you're moving from one journal to the other, if you've been rejected by one journal and the other journal has citations after the period, it can need some adjustment and some editing of the document. It's not the end of the world. You can do it by editing. I've developed a macro for it. But even if you have 100 references, it may take just an hour or so. So, before we had Zotero or other reference formatting software, people used to write their theses on a typewriter. Any one of you have seen this before? Maybe your parents or your supervisor wrote their thesis on a typewriter, and I remember one person who did his thesis on a typewriter. He said his graduation was delayed by 6 months because he had to redo the formatting of the references. So it wasn't easy. Now it's one click and it's so much faster and easier to do. So just a sign of times. Of course, now writing our manuscript is much easier. Citations are important because they show that your writing is based on prior research. You have taught and read the literature. You're building on previous work. You are learning from others, and then you're appropriately citing other people's work. So you're advancing the field. You're not starting from zero. Citations are what differentiates academic writing from other lay writing, such as magazine articles or newspaper articles. So citations are the critical component of academic writing, and Zotero will help you with your citations. Of course, you cannot cite everything. Citations have to be from credible sources. So generally, we don't recommend citing from lay sources like Wikipedia or magazine articles or newspaper articles. Your references should be from journal articles or peer-reviewed literature. And where can you find peer-reviewed literature? It's usually through a research database. And there are more than 100 databases in our university's library online service. And I'm sure you have some database that is linked to your field. For example, in medicine, a lot of people use Pubmed as their research database. So that should be your starting point for searching, and Zotero can import articles directly from a research database. So here's Google Scholar. Google Scholar is technically not a research database. It is an indexing service, but it does provide you with articles from a wide range of sources, including some which may not be indexed in the top research databases. One thing, if you're using Google Scholar, is to enable importing into Zotero, and that is through the settings options in Zotero. In Google Scholar, click on the three horizontal bars on the top left, and then go to settings. And in the settings, click on Show Links to Import Citations, and then choose Endnote. Endnote is compatible with Zotero. And then you can see a link to import citations, and then if you click on that link, it will import that citation into your Zotero library. In medicine, as I said, the most popular database is Pubmed, and it has millions of articles related to medicine, public health, as well as allied fields, including basic sciences, chemistry, biology, nursing. And the good thing about Pubmed is that the imports into data into Zotero are very accurate. So it captures all the data. The data is accurate. Sometimes it's better than what you will find on the journal website itself. So I always use Pubmed to import references into Zotero, and basically because I'm working in the field of medicine. Zotero itself has more than 10,000 styles, so more than 10,000 journal styles. So if there is a journal that you're looking for, you can search it in the Zotero style repository, and most of the time you will find something close to it. If not, you can search for another journal from the same publisher. For example, if you have a journal from Elsevier, then search for Elsevier and choose another journal from Elsevier, and the style should be pretty much the same. So how many references should you have in your research article? That depends on the type of research article that you have. If you're writing a letter to the editor, yeah, as many as you need, right? But there are some guidelines. So letters should have about 1 to 5, short reports 5 to 15, regular articles 20 to 40, and then review articles maybe 50 to 150. Check with your journal's website for author's guidelines, and they have some strict limits that you have to follow. I've noticed some of the new journals, open access journals, sometimes have no limits. And that makes it a bit tricky and interesting. You should still, I think, follow these guidelines. Don't get carried away by oversighting. And then look at a few recent articles in the journal, the latest issue or the current issue, and then see how many references are in some of the recent articles. So that can be a good guide. The number of references also varies by the field. So some fields like medicine have somewhat fewer references than humanities, but it also depends by the length of your article, the number of pages. So again, these are rough guides. And then, the number of citations actually depends on the number of articles published in that field. So for example, you can see medicine has a lot of research output, and therefore the number of citations is much higher as compared to social sciences. So who should you cite? One important tip I want to share with you is, say, for example, in Scopus, you can see, if you look at, click on affiliations and search for United Arab Emirates University, you will see that there are about 17,000 documents from this university. And I'm sure you will find maybe 1 or 2 articles relevant to your field that you can cite that have come out from this university. So I think it is a good idea to support and to link with research that's coming from your university. So you should always cite your previous research that is relevant to that topic, that gives credibility to your current work. Should cite your supervisor's work or work that is done in your lab by maybe other PhD students. Should cite work done in the department or college or the university, as well as the country or the region. So it's important, I think, that we cite regional work. How to go to affiliation. Maybe I can show it in the live demo. And then the target journal, maybe cite 1 or 2 articles from the target journal that you are submitting to. That will make the editor a little bit more inclined to accept your article. Some people go so far as to suggest that you should cite any peers, peer reviewers, but again, it's hard to know who will be peer reviewing your article. One important thing to avoid is self-citation. You should avoid over self-citation. It is not looked upon positively. So cite only your works that are relevant to your topic for that article. But it is still, I think, important to cite your own work to show that you have done some work in that field. As you can see, in some fields, people tend to cite their own work much more than other fields. Okay, time for a quick break. We will be taking a journey, a visual break. Right now, we will be traveling to Indonesia. So this is from a conference that I went to a few years ago before COVID. And it was nice, nice change. Part of the journey is the travel on Emirates, and then this was the resort I stayed in. Nice food, and then some nice scenery when not presenting at the conference. So Indonesia is a beautiful country with nice places to go, and this was the place I stayed in with views of the mountain and the forest. So that was our break, and now we return back to Zotero. You have choices when you're looking at reference management software. There are maybe about 46 different reference management softwares, and any of you have used other software such as Mendeley or Endnote Web? Do you want to share that in the chat message area? Mendeley, okay, and Endnote. Do you use Endnote Web or Endnote desktop version? RefWorks. Yeah, I've used Endnote a lot, and I felt it was complex, difficult, and then I left it for Zotero. So we have quite a few who are using Mendeley and Endnote. Endnote comes in 2 versions: the Endnote Web, which is free, and then Endnote Desktop, which is paid. Yeah, RefWorks is probably one of the more expensive options, and again, I don't think it is the easiest or the best. So there is Endnote is the oldest, I think, and yeah, thanks for coming for the Zotero workshop, and I hope to convince you that Zotero is the best. Endnote is another option. Certainly, you have Endnote Web, which is free to use, but it requires an internet connection. And Endnote Desktop is you have to pay, and I guess you can see you can have to pay for upgrades also. For Mendeley, yeah, I think Mendeley is similar to Zotero. You have to remember it is made by a commercial company, and your data is then linked to their databases. So with Mendeley, if your Mendeley is working fine for you, that's okay with me. You don't have to switch to Zotero. Yeah, and I'm going to show how to use Zotero next. But if you're not happy with your current software, such as Endnote, I would encourage you to take a closer look at Zotero. So Zotero is my favorite. Zotero is free, and it is open source. It has been developed by a university for more than a decade now. There is continuous improvement, and I think you will do well to use Zotero. This is a Zotero website. You can download it from there. It's easy to install, just like any standard Windows software. You can install it on a Mac or a Linux machine. Remember that in addition to downloading Zotero, you have to install the Firefox connector. Or if you're using another browser, say a Chrome or Safari or Edge, you have to download that connector. But that will show up automatically depending on which browser you're accessing the website from. So remember, it's a two-step installation. First the Zotero itself, and then the connector. If it looks complicated, you can always ask IT to help you with this. But generally, it's something very standard and easy to do. So as I mentioned, Zotero has a style repository. It has more than 10,000 journal styles, and you can access it from this website at the top. So if you're, whatever your field, I'm sure you'll find your journal and have a matching style for it. Zotero also comes with excellent documentation. This is on Zotero website. If you click on documentation at the top, you have a lot of guides and how to do different steps. There's also forums, which if you're stuck, you can ask a question in the forums or search the forums if somebody's already asked that question. So yeah, this is the forum, and you have it's pretty extensive, and pretty much anything. Sometimes if I get stuck, I will search the forum, and usually there's an answer for it. So this is the Zotero screen, and I will now switch to Zotero to show a live demo. This is Zotero, and I'm actually using a blank version. Normally, I have maybe thousands of references in my Zotero library, but this is how you will see when you install Zotero for the first time, and you have a blank Zotero library. So Zotero is divided into 3 panes. On the left side is a typical folder of the library, and this is similar to what you see in Windows Explorer. So you can create new collections by right-clicking and then clicking on new collections. So maybe I'm doing research on diabetes. I can create a folder for diabetes. Maybe I'm doing some other research on, say, asthma. And then, maybe I have some research on, say, teaching skills or teaching and education. So, there's, and then I can create subfolders. Those are called subcollections. So, I can create some, say, a subfolder on undergraduate teaching. And then maybe another subfolder on graduate teaching. And then maybe, another subfolder on, say, teaching studies done in UAE. So these are all subfolders where I can store references. If we import a reference, it appears in the middle column. And then if you click on a reference, you will see the details of that reference in the right column. Right now, there are no items in this library, so I'm going to import some items from the internet. And for that, I will switch to my browser. Okay, so this is the Zotero homepage, and here you can see the download button. If I click on the download, it takes me to the download page where I can install Zotero itself as well as the connector. There is the documentations tab with all the different options. You can search how to do certain things. There is a search option for documentation. And then there is forums in which you can click and search for any issues that you might be having. So as I mentioned, a good place to start is to use the, let me answer that question from Yudhidinma in a minute, okay. But generally it's a good idea to search from a research database. As I said, there are more than 100 research databases provided by the university library, including Pubmed. So I'm going to show you some of the databases like ProQuest one, which has a lot of psychology articles. So let's say I'm searching on teaching medical students. Okay, I think I've been logged out. I'm going to switch to Scopus. And here I will search for, say, teaching medical students. And let's see what we get. So there are a lot of articles here on Scopus on teaching, and say if I like something, I can choose one article. I'm just going to pick a random article here. So the article is now here, and then what I want you to notice is this white icon. It says when you hover on it, save to Zotero. So if I click on it, it will import this article, just the details like the author names, the title, the journal, etc., not the full text. It will import it into Zotero. So if I click on it now, and it says saving to, and it is saving to the current folder that I had selected before doing my search. So now it's saying saving to graduate teaching. And let's go back to Zotero and see what if we have got the article. So yeah, we have that article. It is located in the graduate teaching folder because I have clicked on that folder before doing the input. And here is the article, and here you can see the details of the article itself, including the title, the author, the abstract, and the journal name, volume, the date, which is 2022. So it is like probably like a preprint or e-publication. So yeah, let me show that again one more time. I'm going to switch to another database. Now I'm going to switch to, say, Pubmed. And here I search for an article. And you can again see that the article, there is a white icon that appears on your browser toolbar. It looks like a white page with a turned corner. And it has, if you hover the mouse over it, it says save to Zotero. Because this, I like this article, so I want to import it into Zotero, I will just click on it. And now it's saying saving to my library because I clicked on my library before starting this. So now I will switch back to Zotero and show that this article has been imported. So going to Hold on, let me just double check that one more time. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time to import it. Let me try one more time with a different article. Let me do another search. Students. And again, now I'm going to choose one article that I like and then click on this white icon, save to Zotero. Okay, and then switch back to Zotero. And there you see it, it shows learning style of medical students and correlation. So essentially that's the workflow. You can, you can click on any article on the internet and then click on the white icon on the top right corner to import it into Zotero. The important thing is that you want to select the folder that you want to import it into. So if, for example, if you have imported some article into in a different folder that you wanted it, so I want to move this article, I can just drag it and move it to the folder that I want to. So let me just show that on a different database. So for example, here is academic search complete, and again I'm going to search, say, on teaching. Again, I think it's probably logged me out. Let me show importing from a journal. Here you can see that this is not a database, but the journal itself, and I'm going to click on Save to Zotero. If you right-click, you can see that Save to Zotero has the 3 different options, including embedded metadata, web page without snapshot, and web page with snapshot. So web page with snapshot includes a JPEG picture of the website also. So I'm just going to click on embedded metadata. And again, it will import it. And then again, you know, you can do imports from, say, other databases that you're using, say, engineering databases. And then again, you click on Save to Zotero. And here you can see that Zotero has recognized that this is the particular database, so it will do a more accurate import as opposed to if it was embedded metadata. So here is another article that has been imported, and you can see that here the article type is conference paper rather than a research article. So different, there are a lot of different articles or reference entries that you can enter into Zotero, including websites, reports, as well as journal articles. You can enter a reference manually, so you just click on the plus sign and the journal article, and then you can type everything as needed. Okay, so that is the basic workflow for Zotero. Let me show you some other features that you can use. So for example, if you hold down the control key, or rather the shift key, you can move the article without keeping a copy in the original folder. So now you can see that this article has been moved into another folder. You can import databases from other reference managers such as Endnote if you're moving to Zotero. You have different search options, including an advanced search. So you can, if you have hundreds of references in your Zotero library, you can do the search by title or by author or by the date you added. You also have preferences, so you can change some of the way things work and feel. So I recommend unchecking these automatically take snapshots or automatically attach associated PDFs when saving files, because that will just increase your Zotero library storage. Here you can see in the Advanced tab, it tells you where exactly your Zotero data directory is. So you can back up that directory when you're backing up your computer or your importing files. It also will show you how much Zotero space Zotero data directory is taking. You have also some keyboard shortcuts that you can use with Zotero to speed up your work. Okay, now that we have a few references in Zotero, I want to cite them, say, in a journal article. And I'm going to select maybe one article that I want to cite, and I will switch to Microsoft Word. So here I have Microsoft Word, and I'm typing, say, a research article or my thesis, and I'm writing the introduction, and I want to cite an article now. I will place the cursor at the end of the sentence, and if the citation has to be before the period, I will insert one space, and then click on Zotero, and then click on the Add Citation button. So this Zotero tab will be installed automatically when you install Zotero and the Zotero connector. And Zotero can also work with other word processors such as OpenOffice. So I'm clicking on the Add Edit Citation, and then in the initial insertion, I will be asked which style I want to use. So let's say I want to use Vancouver style. I generally leave these standard options as they are by default, and then click one of the articles that I want to cite, and then click OK. So here you can see that this citation has been inserted, and if you click on it, it shows in a light gray shading, indicating this is a special field. Okay. So that is how you would insert a citation. And towards the end of your article, you have your bibliography. And usually it's preceded by the heading references. And just place your cursor where you want the bibliography to appear at the end of the article, and then click on Add Edit Bibliography button in the Zotero tab. So now it has, when I clicked on the add bibliography, it added all the current references inserted in this article for the reference list. Let me repeat that one more time. So I'm going to insert another reference here at the end of this article, click on Add Citation, and then choose the article that I want to insert, and click OK. And as you can see, the second citation has been added, and the reference list or the bibliography has been updated. Now, a common request is to add more than one citation at the end of a sentence. So what you do is you click on that citation and then click the Add Edit Citation button. And then we want to have multiple sources for this citation. So I will click on the Multiple Sources button, and it adds a column to the right side. And I will move another article. So using the green arrow, and then you have two citations, two references in this one single citation. And if I click OK, you have both the citations at the end of the sentence. So if typically if you start Zotero, sorry, let me just show you. I have changed one setting. Generally, if you click on the Add Edit Citation, it shows this search bar. Let me just follow for me for now, and then I will do some troubleshooting towards the end. Normally, you will see this search when you click on the Add Edit Citation button. It will show this Zotero search bar. What I prefer is the classic view. So click on the classic view, and then you will get this dialog box. And that's how you can choose different citations that you want to insert. If the Zotero tab doesn't appear on your computer, restart Microsoft Word. Okay, so that was the basic workflow for Zotero. I'm going to show you some more tips in the presentation. Let me switch to that. Just some quick tips on research writing. I like to keep the Word window and the browser window side by side. That way I can read the article as I'm writing. I just have some tips on some coherence in your essays. So use repeated keywords throughout your thesis or your article. However, do not repeat a keyword in the same sentence. There are other techniques such as beginning a sentence with "this is" for research writing, and then be humble in your academic style. Also, use some connecting words such as compare and contrast or logic arguments. So that way you build a story in your research article, especially in the introduction and the discussion sections. Avoid weak words such as is, are, was, were. They tend to be overused and make your writing weak and ineffective. It's better to use strong action words. Another tip that I want to share in research writing is the phrase bank. So if you search online for Manchester phrase bank, you will see a website that provides a lot of academic phrases that you can use. And this is not considered plagiarism. So it will give you some inspiration as well as some text snippets that you can copy and paste into your research article. So for example, if you're writing the aims of the study, you can get some ideas from this website on how to phrase your writing. So I really recommend it for students who are struggling with writing, especially with academic English as well. Another tip in research writing is to use Microsoft Word's grammar checking. So if you click on File and then Options, and then go to Proofing, it will show you, checking grammar errors as you type. Make sure you select everything that's included in grammar, including grammar and refinements. That way, if you make an error in your writing, Microsoft Word will pick up some of the common grammatical errors. Another tip is to use Grammarly, which is another grammar checker. It has a basic version that's free, and it will pick up a lot of English errors. When I'm writing the first draft of the paper, I use a author date style, such as Harvard or Chicago. So that shows the author and year in the text. And then when I'm finalizing the article, I switch to the journal style, which could be numeric. That way I can keep a track of which articles I'm citing in a more visual way. Okay, some light-hearted comment on how grad school is like kindergarten. I think you might be able to relate to some of this. For high school students, if they don't want to use Zotero, there is one website called Zbib, which is if you just want to enter one or two articles in, say, a school project, so they don't have to download Zotero. Zotero can also find available PDFs. So if you download if you've got Zotero library, you can just right-click on it and click on Find Available PDF. So it will search the internet, and if there is a PDF available for it, it will download it automatically. Also, I make a shortcut for the add citation in the Zotero. So if you go to Word Options, Customize Ribbon, and then customize keyboard in keyboard shortcuts, you click on the Zotero Add Edit Citation, and then press a new shortcut key. So, for example, I use the Alt plus slash. That way, I can quickly insert a citation. You can import, if you're working, say, in Mendeley or Endnote, you can import all your library into Zotero. It's pretty easy. The instructions are on the Zotero website. And then if you move from one computer to another, just copy the data directory for Zotero. If you have a list of references, if you already typed it in Microsoft Word and you want to import it into Zotero, it's not easy. You can use a website called anystyle.io, and that will parse your document and then import it into Zotero. Another option, if it's not a lot of references, is to just search online in a database and then import them one by one into Zotero. You can scan books into Zotero directly from your iPhone. Just scan the barcode, and then it will automatically import into your Zotero folder, online folder. If you're working on multiple computers, it can be a bit tricky because you will have different Zotero libraries in each computer. So you should, you ideally want to work from one computer, but if you're forced to, you can use Zotero Sync. and I will show that to you just in a minute. But it will synchronize your Zotero library from your computer with the Zotero cloud servers. So all your references are available from any computer if you log in with your Zotero account. Another option is to use a USB flash drive. So you set your Zotero data directory to the external flash drive, and then you can carry the USB to any computers. And you can even run Zotero from a flash drive. However, you should not store your Zotero data in the cloud, such as Dropbox or Google Drive. You should store it on your PC. Otherwise, there are problems with storing. That is not recommended to change your Zotero data directory to Dropbox. This is how you can locate your data directory in the Zotero preferences. Click on Advanced, and then Files and Folders, and then you can see the Zotero data directory where Zotero is storing all its information on your computer. Make sure to back up this location when you're backing up all your files. Okay, and I also like to uncheck these options in the general preferences because they take, if you're creating snapshots from web pages, then they take up space. So for example, Zotero will take about 1.5 megabytes per snapshot. So if you have like thousands of references, then it adds up, and it can become like 20 gigabytes for Zotero. It's not a problem, but if you're storing your Zotero, synchronizing it with an online service, that it will use up all your space, the free space that Zotero gives, which is just 300 MB. There are a lot of plugins for Zotero, including there is a plugin for Google Scholar, and that will tell you how many citations an article has received. So you can see that directly in Zotero, the number of citations in an article, and then there are some importing plugins. But I generally don't use any of the plugins. I haven't had the need for that. So if there is a problem, a lot of times I'm contacted if there is a problem. Zotero is, there are some issues. Don't panic. Follow these steps. In Word, you can click on Zotero Refresh. So that will refresh everything in the Word document. Generally, that does the trick. You can restart Zotero, you can restart your computer, and that might resolve the issue. You can search online in Zotero documentation, the website tab in Zotero, or in Zotero forums. Otherwise, you can also, do some advanced things like update translators and check database integrity under Zotero preferences. If everything else fails, create a new Word document because sometimes there are multiple co-authors, and the Word document itself has become corrupted. Create a new Word document and copy-paste the text from the previous version, and then insert each reference from Zotero one by one. That generally does the trick. It's a lot of work, but it's worth it, and it may just take 1 or 2 hours. Google Docs now supports Zotero. If you like using Google Docs, Google Docs has support for Zotero in it, and that's a great way to collaborate. In terms of collaboration, when you're working with multiple co-authors, you have 3 options. You can share an online Zotero library. So this is recommended if you're working with your supervisor, and your supervisor is also using Zotero, and I will show you how to do that. You can use a shared online Word document, say on OneDrive. Again, this is recommended for if you have co-authors who know how to use online Word documents. I've had problems with doing this with faculty who are more comfortable with just email attachments. And then, finally, people who are tech naive and really don't know much beyond email attachments, just ask co-authors to insert the DOI or some, the author and the year, and then you can search for it in a database and insert the reference by yourself. So Zotero account is optional. It is free. You don't have to register if you're using Zotero. So I generally don't use it, but it is an option if you're using collaboration or using the synchronizing features of Zotero. They just ask you for your email and a password, and then you can register. So after that, you can go and click on the brown icon in Zotero and create a new group. It will take you to a website on Zotero where once you have logged in, you can create a new group. So for example, if you have a lab and maybe 3 or 4 people are working on the same project, you can create a new group, and in the group you can share references. And that group will show up in your Zotero desktop program. So for example, here I've created a new group called Communication Skills, and it is showing up in my Zotero. I can drag and drop references to it, and it will show up in the group library of anyone else who is also in that group. So this is a great way to do collaboration, share interesting articles and references, and then cite them in your research. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit more of the demonstration. This is my last slide. I just have a summary slide after this. Let me go back. Any other questions, any burning questions at this point? So some people said that at edit citation, nothing appears after that. You probably have to restart Zotero, restart Microsoft Word, and then it should be working. Google Scholar does not provide issue or volume number sometimes. Very good point. Generally, I don't like to use Google Scholar to import. Either import it from the journal website, or even better, from a database website like Pubmed or Academic Search or Scopus. So pretty much any other source will work, even a newspaper like Khaleej Times or New York Times, you can import into Zotero. You can move your saved PDF files to Zotero. So for example, here I'm going to just, you can add an attachment and then click on stored copy of file. So that way, it will copy that file itself to the Zotero library. Or if you just want to attach a link, you can click on this one. So you can keep a folder with all your PDFs on your computer and then attach the link to the file. You can also click on the Find Available PDF, and then you can see it will just automatically import the PDF, and here you can see that the full text is now available. If there's a new style that is not available on Zotero, then you can make a request to Zotero to add that style. With 10,000 style, it's very unlikely that there is a style that is not present. Just click on this Get Additional Styles, and then if just look for the same publisher. So if your journal is say from Elsevier, you can choose maybe one of Elsevier styles. So just look for that same publisher. Otherwise, you can go onto the Zotero forum and request that create a new referencing style. There is also a way to create your own styles, which is called the style editor. and it will allow you to create a style. If you know a little bit of XML, it's not too difficult actually, and you can modify an existing style. Say if you want to maybe make the journal name italics or bold, you can do that. Any other questions?
Thank you, Dr. Jawad. Can I read some non-answered questions in the chat?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, one question from Ruwaida. Can you use in-text citation ABA style?
Sorry, I'll say that again.
She wrote, can you use in-text citation ABA style?
Oh yes, APA style is available. So just if you are, you can see here APA is available. Can you see it on the screen?
Yes, we can see.
Yeah, okay, good. So yeah, APA is available. And you have in-text citations. Okay, let me show you in-text citations quickly. Let me switch to Microsoft Word. So I'm going to change this to APA style. I'll click on Document Preferences and then change to APA 7th edition. And you have the in-text citation. You can also have references showing up at the bottom of each page, what are called footnotes. And you can add page numbers. So for example, I want to add a page number here. I will click on the citation itself, the gray shaded citation. Click on Edit Citation, change to Classic View, and then add a page number. So say 23. And then click OK. Now it's showing in-text citation with the page number.
Can you repeat this, Doctor? Because we can see only the Word window.
Oh,
Other additional windows, we cannot see them. Yeah.
Can you see this?
No.
Okay. Oh, this is a problem with. Can you see the Add Edit Citation box?
Not yet. No.
Oh, okay. Well, this is probably an issue with Zoom then. Yeah, I think maybe a better way would have been to show the screen sharing rather than app sharing. But I hope you can see it now. Can you see the Add Citation dialog box?
Yes,
okay.
now we can see it.
Now you can see it. Okay, got it. Apologies for that, but this is the Add Edit Citation box for Zotero. And here you can add, say, a reference to a page number. You can have multiple sources, so you can add more than one source. You can reorder the sources. You can have maybe 3 sources or more, and then you can add page number. You can suppress the author. So this is the Add Citation dialog box that probably was not showing when I was presenting everything. And if I click OK, it will show up on Microsoft Word, all the articles. And the references have been updated automatically. Any other questions?
Yes, there are so many.
Yes.
One question, can you show from where you choose the article to add?
Yeah, there are, let me do screen sharing. There are a lot of sources for articles, including, Scopus and Pubmed, Science Direct. Go from the university main university website and click on databases. So click on find sources and then databases. And that way, and then you can click on any database that you want. There are so many databases for different fields, like in engineering, you have IEEE. In medicine, it's Pubmed. Or you can go to a journal, say the journal website, and each journal you can still import because it will show the white icon. So we have care of the college student is a current article. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
We have a question: if we suppress the author in the paper, should I write the author, or is there? If you don't suppress the author name, if you're using Zotero, if you want to include the author name, there's so that so you have if you're inserting a citation in, say, Microsoft Word, go to classic view. Don't click on suppress author if you want the author. Sometimes here it's showing, sometimes not. Where is that? Over here in the citations or in the references? In citation. That depends on the citation style. Okay, so as you can see here, there are a lot of different citation styles. And say if you go to Chicago, there's some that, like maybe Harvard, I think. The year is there. The year is there. These are two authors, so that's why the year is here. But the year is present in all the citations. These are 3 citations. Okay, and then I think, yeah, if you suppress the author, you have to type the author name yourself if you're writing it in the text. I think that's the question from Hassan. And then you would have to type, and Zotero will just enter the year with the parentheses. Any other questions?
There is one repeated question from Basma and Sana.
Yeah.
What should we do if the Zotero tab doesn't work on your computer? I keep getting the message that says couldn't communicate with Zotero when I open the add or edit citation part.
Okay. Restart Zotero. If that is not working, restart your computer. If Zotero is installed, it should communicate. Otherwise, if that it's not, probably something simple. Maybe show it to an IT person. That work. Okay, good.
Okay, thank you. Another question.
Mm-hmm.
Can we move our saved PDF files to Zotero?
Yes, yeah. I showed that. So in Zotero, I click on any article and then right-click on it and then add attachment, and then attach a copy of a file. So when that will open, you can attach the file.
I think she means if we don't have the citation itself.
Okay, then get the citation from the internet.
Okay, then we add the file.
Yeah, and then attach the file.
Okay.
You can still attach a file directly. I don't recommend that. Here, link to a file, store a copy of it. That is not recommended. You can just attach a PDF, and then Zotero can try to obtain the metadata. Right-click on that, and then get the metadata from the internet. But usually that is not very accurate. Sometimes the year is missing or the journal is missing.
Okay, thank you. Another question.
Mhm.
How to add people when I create group to share the library?
Okay, that you will get on the um, you know the you can when you go there, it will show up as um, it will show up on the web page in the groups. Add a person. So you just write their email, and it will send an email request to their email that do you want to join this group. So that's a great way to collaborate. If you have a research group, maybe 2 people or 3 people working on the same project, uh, each person should open a free Zotero account, and then one person should be the leader and create a group, and then invite the others.
Yes, clear, thank you. Another question, that sometimes the year is showing as ND. So why?
Yeah, because it's not entered in Zotero. So if in Zotero this date is missing, then it will show as ND. So that means there was a problem with importing that most likely you imported from, say, the journal website or from Google Scholar, that those sources are not as reliable as a research database like Pubmed or Scopus. You can also type it in manually. If it's showing ND, then just add the date manually. Any other questions?
If anyone have a question, I can please raise your hand so I can unmute you, and or you can write your question in the chat.
Yes. If you click on this DOI, just not on the address, but on the this label, it will take you there. So if there is a URL, you can click on the URL here or the DOI, and it will take you to that article on the internet. Also, as I said, I like to use the classic view for adding citations. So I just click on the Zotero preferences under Cite, click on the Use Classic Add Citation dialog. And again, if you're having problems with, you can reinstall Word plugin and the advanced, you can check database integrity, um, update. Sometimes you need to say copy a list of references, say your own articles. You can just use shift click to select multiple. Okay. And then right click and then create bibliography from items. Say I'll use Vancouver. And then I will copy it to clipboard. Okay. And then I want a bibliography. This is like if somebody asks you, can you just send me the list of articles? And then say I go into Word and then just paste it, and you get your list of articles. Any other questions? So, this is just a summary. I hope, you give Zotero a try. It's free and it's easy to use. A lot of people have switched from Endnote and mentally to Zotero. It's just seems to be, more user-friendly. It has all the features. There is no paid version. You get the free online storage, which is 300 MB, but it's fine as long as you don't sync the attachments. And then, again, if you have any problems, you can search the forums for solutions. Okay, with that, thank you for your attention, and I hope to see you guys soon. I hope that we can do a workshop face-to-face in the future, and I can maybe do a better job in demonstrating the features of Zotero. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Jawad, for your presentation. It was very helpful and very interesting. Just a kind reminder for the students, if you didn't write your full name and ID, please write it in the chat. And I added the feedback form link. Please kindly enter it and fill it. Thank you all for your listening. Thank you, Dr. Jawad. We appreciate your help.